Hello my loves! Welcome back to Zeke's Lunchbox. The day has finally come. We can finally film a new sketchbook tour. I'm really excited to show you what's in this sketchbook from the last year, but mostly I'm just excited for this video because the last sketchbook tour that I posted was kind of a significant video for me. It kind of really launched my channel and made it what it is today, and I know the following is still small by internet standards, but it still means a lot to me and it keeps growing by the day, and you guys have been just amazing and you really changed my life. So I'm really excited to honor the sketchbook videos with a brand new one. It has taken me a year to fill this one out. A lot has happened in that year. I've been hustling and trying to just keep up with videos, making art, etc. So there are a couple of lulls in here, but there's also a few highs. So yeah, lots of peaks and valleys, just like everything else. This is very personal to me, a lot of things that have never been shown before. Now, just like the last sketchbook tour, I have a feeling that this is going to be a two-parter, just because I want to take my time talking about a couple of things. So this is part one of the sketchbook tour. We'll get into part two in a couple of days. So with that being said, let's get into it. But before we get there, make sure you like and subscribe the video. And while you're here, you can also watch the two videos that I mentioned, the other sketchbook tour, and see the kind of evolution and see if I've grown, and I don't know, if the sketchbooks have gotten any better. Would love to know your input. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so classic YouTube mistake. My footage is incredibly blurry and I actually think it's completely unusable. So I'm going to basically reiterate what I said in this section here. But yeah, this is editing Julia, telling you guys what I'm talking about here. Part of the first couple minutes of this might be a little bit blurry, but I'll try and cut that down as much as possible. Basically in this part here, I mentioned a couple of things before we head into the video. One, all of the stickers that you view in my sketchbook, I will have listed on screen. If it's not listed on screen, it's most likely my sticker, so you can go to my shop and get one for yourself. A lot of the pictures in this are reference photos, mostly from Pinterest. If you want to see the original photos, you can go over to my Pinterest, which is linked below. All of the materials in the sketchbook will be listed in the show notes below as well, including what my sketchbook is, yeah, the brand of my sketchbook. And finally, I am shooting in natural light, so the light is going to come in and out here and there. I'll try my absolute best to control that as much as possible for you. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so this is the front cover. I like to adorn my sketchbook in lots of stickers. Just like my last one, I have a checklist of goals that I wanted to accomplish. So I'll just read out what my goals were for this sketchbook. So light studies, hand studies, poses, and life drawing, perspective, photo, neighborhood, and study. I think around this time, the idea of just not using other people's photos to do my own studies. So at this point, I wanted to make that a habit of just taking my own photos and then sketching them. Creature brainstorming and study artist techniques. Now, a few of these I did do, and I kind of feel like it was a bit ambitious for me to kind of do a lot of this stuff. As always, I kind of give myself a big fat list of things to do, and I kind of accomplish like 70 to 80% of it. That's just a habit of mine that is frustrating, and I don't know. reach for the stars. This sketch here, this was a rejected illustration. I have a video about this on my channel. I did a speed paint of this piece. It was a rejected illustration, so I just thought I would chuck it in here. I wanted to explore a few more expressions. I feel like I always do a very like dormant, shocked, or like model face where it's like kind of doe-eyed and kind of like there's nothing really behind the eyes. I use a lot of references of models, and that's kind of the go-to face that a lot of them have. So I wanted to practice a few more expressions here. Lots of life drawing in this sketchbook. Not many amazing brainstorming ideas. Mostly just studying in the sketchbook so I can get to that new level in my craft. At this time, I was also starting the tarot card project. Tarot card project was daunting because I was pretty bad at life drawing. I'm not where I want to be, but I would say I'm a lot more confident with drawing bodies now because of exercises like this. And I remember before heading into the tarot card project, I wanted to up my skills a little bit more because I felt very, very rusty and I was stepping into territory that I just wasn't comfortable with. Oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of nudes in this. I don't know if that's gonna be offensive to you, and I also don't care, it's a human body. I love this particular piece, this sketch here. I just really like the movement in her torso, and I feel like, I don't know, it's got some good flow in it. I do find a lot of my pieces are very stiff, and I'm trying to get more energy and flow into my work. Again here, just doing more life studies. I do really like these two ladies over here. I don't know, there's something really playful and it's almost like they're going through a little battle or something. I feel like it's kind of interesting when you do studies because you kind of get ideas that you didn't think that you would kind of come across. So I feel like exploring this idea a little bit more in the future could be interesting. I remember being pretty proud of this piece. My values were starting to get a little bit better, and yeah, just practicing pencil. All right, next page. I remember at this point I was really getting into the sketchbook and I just really wanted to go back to my roots of like playing around with watercolor and gouache and just mixed media and just drawing and having fun with color and playing around with things like that. I was exploring a couple of positions for the tarot card project. I still think I will use this pose and concept at some point in the tarot card project, but I'm just not sure when. I love these two girls here. I really would like to explore like these more butterfly ladies a little bit more. I think there's something really corny about it and kind of cliche and kitsch, and we all know your gal loves that sort of stuff. I did do this concept in one piece that I don't like and yeah, so I feel like this concept is a little bit tainted just because I use it in a piece that I'm not happy with. I've got very bad memories with. Some of you guys may recognize this sticker over here for all the other YouTube peeps. I was brainstorming for a tarot card, the High Priestess. I kind of just wanted to play around with like what was going to be in it. It's basically a study. The final piece is very, very similar to this. It's just more refined. I liked the idea of like her just sitting on these big fruit pieces. It kind of reminded me of Marguerite's work, who's been a big influence to me, so I kind of wanted to honor that and have my own little Zeke take on it. Some more studies. Oh, and the final sticker for this. This is the final painting for this sketch over here. Pretty cool. Some cool little behind the scenes stuff. Now this is some more brainstorming for a piece, the rejected piece that I was kind of talking about with the butterfly lady. I much prefer this sketch. I feel like the sketch turned out a lot better than the final piece. I don't know, I really liked playing with this like scale in a really small body with big hands. It's kind of got a bit of an infantile feel to it. I actually have pretty bad memories when it comes to this spread because it's, to me, when I see this, it's like, oh, I couldn't draw bodies properly and I couldn't draw creatures as well. And it was frustrating because I have all these ideas, but I just couldn't actualize it with the skills that I had at the time. Yeah, it was just frustrating. It's almost like an idea that just never got there, never had its final glory. Okay, now this is one of my favorite spreads in this sketchbook. I just really had a good time playing around with this. It might be the first or only time in the sketchbook where I kind of really play around with a cool concept such as this like Rhinoceros Lady. I was looking at a lot of Mobius illustrations at the time, and I just really liked the way that he did a lot of like tech illustrations, and I just loved his like fast paced style. Like you instantly understood what the piece was meant to represent just by like a couple of lines, and I really liked that idea. So I have this hexagonal stencil thing that I really like. For anybody who is a bit lost with what you want to put in your sketchbook or just what you want to draw in general, I do recommend getting things like this just because they are good launching pads. For me, I also really like the way it pads out a lot of illustrations. It makes a portrait feel a lot more whole or like finalized. I also really like the little landscape here. This page might be like a little underrated page because whenever I go through the sketchbook I never think about this page, but it's actually pretty good. With this spread, I think I just wanted to just keep going, keep practicing. It's a bit of a weird page. I think I was really trying with this one. This girl here I just wasn't feeling, obviously, and obviously this landscape I just gave up on. This illustration's kind of cute. This is drawn from one of my favorite fashion books, Fruits. For anybody else who remembers those books, they're pretty cute. I've got it here. I got this when I was 13 and it's been just inspiring me for, I don't know, all those years. So I used this book for a couple of references in my journal. I think these two characters are from that. Just the more studies. Nothing too fancy. Here, exploring some more hands and feet. I just feel like you can never not study enough hands and feet. Yeah, just some more hands. I remember just trying to like block them out a little bit more. I feel like I've been getting a lot better with my hands and feet. I still have a long way to go, but I don't feel so lost anymore. I actually really like the way this foot here is really blocked out. I tried to really like block it out with like literal blocks. Lots of hand studies. Okay, here I remember I got some new acrylic gouache paint and I was like, oh, I need to try and use this stuff as much as possible. It's amazing. So that was a fun little portrait. Now these elements here are for a client that I did some work for. I didn't have anywhere to put this. Yeah, I needed to just put it somewhere and my sketchbook was the place to put it. Some of you guys might remember this page here. It's from a illustration or a drawing challenge. I don't even know who that's meant to be, what cartoon this is meant to be. If you guys remember, let me know. Okay, some of you guys might remember this page as well. I think this is my very first study sessions episode. I haven't done many study sessions episodes. After that, I've been meaning to for a very, very long time. So this sketch here might be recognizable to some of you as well. This piece was for Lake of Oz. Lake of Oz is a funny piece for me because I find that it's a piece where it's almost like the very last piece that I did of the old technique of how I used to make art. I used to just do a thumbnail and then just get straight into the piece. No studies, nothing. And now I do a lot of studies before I start a piece and a lot of planning. Before I start a piece now, I sketch the whole piece in my iPad Pro and get everything laid out, and now I just fill it all in. And I do find that Lake of Oz could have been a better piece had I done that. I feel like the perspective is really weird in the piece, and I feel like the plants are really weird. The flow could be a lot better. Still, despite that, I think it came out really good. I love that piece, but I'd like to explore more submerged animal and girl in water pieces in the future. Now, after the study sessions episode, I did this crystal and a landscape, but then I also wanted to pad out the page a little bit more, so I did some studies. I don't think these studies work with this spread whatsoever. Whatever, it's a sketchbook. I'm not going to be too precious about it, and in fact, if you get too precious about your sketchbooks, you're never going to grow. And I think I've really tried in the last year especially. I've really tried to just stick with finished is better than than perfect. Alright, next page. Again, something that I did in the beginning of the sketchbook was a lot of brainstorming, but then towards the end I just don't really do much of that because I found that this paper just kind of, after a while, all the pencil gets like blurry and it's just doesn't work after a while. Here are some planning sketches for the World tarot card, if you guys remember that one. So you can see here, that's the star that I did, or the sun. Oh no, sorry, for the sun tarot card, that's what I meant to say. I'd like to sketch on paper before I go into the iPad Pro. I'll take a photo of it and then kind of refine it from that point on. And that's one of the very first brainstorms of the weird horsey thing. I wanted it to be like a bat-faced donkey horse unicorn thing that the little boy was riding on. In the end, it just wasn't translating well. So I just had to turn it into a horse. I don't know, the rest of these illustrations are whatever. Usually when I cover something up, it means it ain't good and I have to cover it. Now, I said before that I really liked the acrylic gouache paint tubes, and holy moly, it doesn't even translate on screen here, but it is like vibrant as hell. You can see here how intense that pigment is. I really love this portrait because I blew up the scale of her face. That really helped with just getting the features right, and I often found that I would just block out hair and kind of not go anywhere near hair, and here I'm like really trying to tackle it. Before I would just be a bit lazy, but I'm constantly trying to like push myself and challenge myself even when I really don't want to be challenged. But I do think that's essential for growing your art practice. I really like this thumbnail here. I do really like the idea of these like weird stacked headdresses on girls, and I would like to explore that in some final pieces in the future. Okay, so again, this sketch here is featured in a study sessions video. Some of you may remember that one. That one featured Rel as well. I love the way this guy came out. He is a character from, I guess, the old Power Rangers. I think he's an old villain. Now, these two girls I quite like as well. Again, here I'm trying to challenge myself by just actually drawing the hair. Yeah, I think it's really cool with your sketchbook how like ideas can kind of present themselves just by like playing around. I love that in sketchbook stuff. I remember I was really trying with this one here. I didn't like the way her face turned out in the end. And then when I worked and went over to this one, I was like not in the mood for it anymore. I was like, nah, I'm done. Done for today. A real mixed bag of starting pieces and not finishing them. One of my biggest pieces of advice for anybody else who wants to improve their art or be a bigger artist or whatever your art goals may be, finishing is so much better than having something that's perfect. Finished is better than perfect, I promise you. I would have much preferred if this piece here was finished. Every single time you fail, it's a good opportunity to learn for the next time. You know? Giving up is not an option. Okay, so here I replace using pencil with pen, which I find one, it just looks a lot better. These pens, my dudes, are amazing. They're the shiz. They are, other artists know what's up with these pens. These pens are the best. Here I'm finally like making it a proper habit to just like draw hands. And yeah, I'm just really glad that I would just put in the effort to doodle and draw hands. They don't have to be perfect, you just have to try. A little elephant boy, he's pretty cute. It's nice looking back at a lot of these, even from a year ago, and feeling like I've improved. There's not many moments in your life where you get to feel proud of yourself. My art practice is like one of the places in my life where I get to feel proud of all the hard work that I put into. So it's nice looking back at this stuff and being like, I can do better now. Good to know. Now this dude here, I really like. I like his weird alien vibe. He kind of has this like creepy dead-eyed look to him. I forget what this animal, this Australian animal is called, but it's insanely cute and I need to do more Australian marsupials because they're insanely cute and insanely endangered. Okay, oh my gosh, another study sessions episode. This one I remember being one of my most popular study sessions episodes. I don't really like any of these illustrations. I know a lot of people have watched that episode and tagged me in their version of like light studies on faces. Remember my goal at the beginning? I was like, light studies, A, tick A. I don't like these two girls. I don't think they're very good. Doesn't matter, just playing, just practicing. I don't know what I said in that episode. I like this girl. She looks like a piece of bacon. This cat here is pretty cute as well. I feel like I need to take this guy into a final piece. I just really love the way his ear curls and it's really cute. For my next sketchbook, I really want to explore a few more just ideas. This year was very much, or this sketchbook is very much about studies. But yeah, I would like to do some more like actual ideas. I feel like my ideas have been super stagnant. It's weird. The more technically better I get, I feel like the more stagnant my ideas get. It's kind of frustrating. A couple of years ago, my ideas were fresh and exciting and I had just so many things that I wanted to do and the skills just weren't there to really like visually represent what I wanted my ideas to look like. And now that I have more skills, I'm finding the ideas aren't coming anymore. Why can't I get this balance? It's so frustrating. This wing here is also for a client. At this point I was feeling a real lull and uninspired with my sketchbook, so that's why I was kind of padding it out with things like this, but also I had nowhere else to put it. These two landscapes were out and about. I live near the beach-ish in Melbourne, but anyway, this is what the beach looks like near my house. It's pretty cool that I live 10 minutes away from the beach and I should probably go there a lot more. These again are from that client. I was having that phase where I was doing lots of pieces on pink paper, even though the paper isn't archival in any way. Don't know why I thought that was a good idea at the time. I was just really vibing it. I just really liked starting with some kind of background that wasn't white. I think that's where we're gonna end part 1 of the sketchbook tour. Okay guys, so that wraps up part 1 of the 2018-2019 sketchbook tour. Remember to like and subscribe this video. Yeah, pop in a couple of days to see part 2. The second part, just like the last sketchbook, the last couple of pages kind of go out with a bang, and yeah, excited to show you guys that one. But in the meantime, if you want to follow me on Instagram as well, can always do that. I post on stories pretty much every day. Lots of behind the scenes of sketchbook stuff is shown there first, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye! Oh my god, how hard is it for me to get a thumbnail? She's living. These colors are popping, okay? Oh my god, oh my god. Who am I? Who am I?